Why do I want to create chaos? My sort of perception of the way we all live our lives is we move through the world that we live in. We move towards specific goals or aspirations or desires or whatever, wherever we're going. And as we move towards those goals, we are struck by certain stimuli from the outside and inside. Stimuli from outside, we see things, we hear things, we run into obstacles that we have to, are challenged by, that we have to get around, and we have feelings and emotions and fears and desires and celebrations going on inside. In other words, there's a lot going on just as we're trying to reach a specific goal. That's it, one specific goal. There's a lot going on. It's almost impossible for any of us to be so myopic and single-minded about pursuing that goal that none of this other stuff affects us at all. Now, the reason I say that is because too much acting is about pursuing this one specific goal, try to convince him that he still loves you or something like that, and make that your single goal to the point of excluding everything else. What I want to do is say, yes, that's the character's goal. But I'm going to create the chaos that the character has to fight their way through. The internal and external emotional jungle that they're going through, the character is going through. So it is harder for the character to even focus on what they want, and certainly harder to get what they want. I have one simple sort of thought about my relationship with working with actors. My job working with actors is to get the character, not the actor, get the character into trouble. It's the actor's job as the character to try to get out of trouble. The more trouble I can create, the more chaos, the more obstacles, reasonable obstacles I can create that the actor and character have to work their way through, the better. There's another sort of axiom that I think is very true. The more difficult the scene is for the character, the easier it is for the actor, because no acting is required at all. Just focus on the character and try to get the character to plow through. Okay, the question is, based on the clip that you saw, I'm very confrontive. That's not the question, that's an observation. Yes, I am very confrontive with the characters, absolutely. And the question is am I always that confrontive? Am I ever softer? Big question. The thing is, am I always that confrontive? No. Am I confrontive like that a lot? Yes. And there's a good reason for that. But am I ever softer? There are many times I'm much more softer. There's many times I stand back much more and sort of stay out of their face and stay, sort of ease them into something. Now, a lot of it has to do with what am I trying to create? Because the tone that I take on will affect them, both of the actors. It will affect them and will set a tone for what I am looking for. So if I'm very confrontive, like you saw in that clip, I'm looking for the confrontation between the characters. So I am being confrontive. In another clip, which I can show you at another time, where we're building and exploring the love between them, the passion between them, the joy between them, my tone is totally different because I'm much more supportive and almost celebratory in what is going on between them. So that's, you take on the tone of what you are trying to achieve a lot. Also, there was another question I'm reminded of now about using the interrogation when the characters are not in conflict at all, like a love scene. Can you use the interrogation for that? Absolutely. And then your tone takes on a whole different dynamic, because now you're guiding two people towards discovering or realizing or struggling with how to express their love for each other. And your tone has to be, your tone, not just the questions, your tone has to be supportive of that, where you're going. So if you're very aggressive about these two lovers who are trying to get together, it's not going to work, because they're going to pick up your aggression and it's going to push them into the wrong territory. So your tone is a big part of the interrogation process. Great observation that often I do not wait to hear an answer, and then why don't I wait? And that's true, and many times I will cut off an answer that's halfway through, or just not wait for the answer at all. And is this intentional? Yes, it is intentional. It is a part of the process. One thing that happens during the interrogation, if you've done it, when you do it, and you do it a lot, you'll start to see that the actors, bless their hearts, get used to it, get used to the interrogation, and can almost protect themselves as the characters, get ready for it, and they are ready, and they can ride with you, and they can actually avoid the chaos, and that is actually their job. That's the job of the character, to stay out of the chaos. That's their job. My job is to get them into the chaos. Their job is to stay out of it. So one way of keeping them from avoiding the chaos is to keep them off balance. One way, there are many ways, but one way of keeping them off balance is ask them a question, don't give them time to answer, cut off the answer, or even ask a question and then switch to the other actor and ignore them, and they'll feel abandoned. All of these little techniques are used to keep them off balance, so they never get a solid footing, another grounding. I don't want them to feel like I'm solidly in the character now and I know what I'm doing. I want them to feel like, this character is, in trouble. I'm confused. I don't know where I'm going. There's a lot going on. That's good. That's what I'm trying to create. So that technique is intentional. Also, linked to that is the speed that it'll happen at sometimes. And many times it'll go fast, because it'll to avoid the actor's brain from getting involved. And sometimes, which you did not see in the clip, I think, maybe you did, I'd have to look at it again. Sometimes I'll ask a question, they'll give an answer, and then there will be silence. And that will throw them. They're expecting another question immediately, and suddenly it's silent, and they'll feel like, maybe I, as the character, should be answering something. Maybe I should be saying something. That's another way to keep them off balance. Okay, this is a tricky question. I'm going to rephrase it a little bit. I've said before that what I'm doing as the interrogator, interrogating a character, is I'm giving voice to the voices that are in the head of the character. I'm expressing opinions, or asking questions, or making demands, or insinuating things that I think are going on in that character's head. So that's what the interrogation is. The question is, what if they, and the question is now, who is they? Is it the actor who is disagreeing, or is it the character who is disagreeing? If the character is disagreeing with me, and I make an insinuation about the character, and the character said, that's not what I think at all. That's fine. I can hear by the response, it is the character. It is the character. But if I make an insinuation to the character, and I hear the character, or maybe it's the actor saying, no, that's not true. And then I'm going, is this the actor peeking in and trying to correct something? Or is it the actor trying to back out of the interrogation process a little bit, trying to find some wiggle room out of it? But going back to the heart of the question, if the character or the actor disagree, back to something I said earlier, I take that disagreement to be the statement of the character. The character says, that's not true. I make an implication about, let's say I imply that this character has a crush on another character, and has for years. And the character says, no, that's not true. And if I want that to be true, I will take this response as being the response of the character, and I will accept that he or she actually believes that that is not true. Or, more importantly, wants me to believe that it's not true. And then I can reframe this in a way to try to make it true. Because I can make that implication that you've had this crush on this other person for a long time. The character said, that's not true. I said, oh, really, really? Well, when did you stop pursuing her? Now, when did you stop pursuing her? Try to answer that question and stick with, it's not true. Most times, the character will say, oh, well, I don't know. I just don't. Suddenly they'll feel trapped. In other words, I can ask questions that trap them in the truth that I want to exist without saying that they were lying. They may have been denying, may have been hiding it, and all of that. But if, one more part of this, if director to actor, we're talking about it later, and the actor says, I don't think that's true about the character at all. Now we have a discussion between director and actor. And the best time to have that discussion is not during the interrogation, but outside of the interrogation, afterwards. And we could have that discussion. And I could discuss that with the actor, and we could discuss it as long as we want. And the goal is to come up with some decision like, okay, let's both agree that your character did not have that crush on the other person. That's fine. Then it's done. Or we both agree that the character did. But then you're in a situation where you would have to explain to the actor why it's important for you to have that there and what value you see that brings. And that's another healthy conversation between the director and the actor.